Okay, I want you to imagine something. The date is February 13th, 2026. For India's huge tech industry, this is not just any old Friday. Nope. This is a day of reckoning. A day a massive technological shockwave is about to slam right into the stock market.
And that shockwave, it started with this absolutely staggering number, negative 1.56 lakh crore rupees. Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. That's a 156 followed by 12 zeros. It's a number so big, it almost doesn't feel real.
And this wasn't just, a small market dip. We're not talking about a little correction here. That giant number, that was the total value erased from India's biggest, most respected IT companies. Poof, gone in just a few hours. It's no wonder some analysts were grimly calling it Friday the 13th.
So you've got to ask, right? What in the world could trigger a panic like that? A massive, coordinated sell-off across the board. What was the fear that had investors running for the exits? Well, let's get into it and break down exactly what went down.
All right, so first up, the AI panic on Dalal Street. We're talking about a 10-month low and just a sea of red ink. This wasn't just a bad day. It was an absolute bloodbath for the tech sector. The whole IT index just nosedived, hitting its lowest point in almost a year and wiping out tons of gains.
And look, the damage was everywhere. This wasn't just a couple of smaller companies having a bad day. We're talking about the giants, the titans of the industry. Every single company in the nifty IT index was in the red. You had Coforge, Tech Mahindra, Infosys, all tumbling over 6%. Even a behemoth like TCS fell almost 6%, dipping below that huge 10 lakh crore mark. This quote here from Hiren Dasani really hits the nail on the head. He says the market is pricing the risks of uncertainty. What he means is, this wasn't about a bad quarter or a weak sales forecast. No, this was something much deeper. The market was grappling with a huge, fundamental question mark hanging over the entire business model of these companies. We're talking about a full-blown existential crisis.
So, what was this existential threat? What was causing all this anxiety? Well, let's introduce the villain of our story, generative AI. And the fear wasn't just, oh, AI is going to make us a little more efficient. The fear was that AI could completely shatter the business model that has been the foundation of India's tech success story for more than 30 years.
And what is that model? It's something called the labor arbitrage model. Sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. For decades, the winning formula was this: use India's huge pool of super smart English-speaking engineers to do IT work. Coding, testing, you name it, for companies in places like the US and Europe, but at a much lower cost. It's the model that basically turned India into the tech back office for the entire world.
But here's the problem. Generative AI strikes right at the heart of that model. All of a sudden, you have AI tools that can automate those core tasks. So think about it. Why would a client pay for 100 hours of a human coder's time when an AI could potentially do it, maybe even better, in a fraction of that time? And what really lit the fuse on this particular day was news about tools like Anthropic's CowWork plugins, which are designed to do exactly that. The market didn't see a new tool. It saw a replacement for human workers.
And this quote from Sunny Agarwal sums it up perfectly. He's saying investors are worried that AI can just automate away all these complex tasks. They're looking at these giant IT companies whose entire business is built on selling man-hours, and they're asking a pretty terrifying question. What's your business model when your main product, people's time, is suddenly worth a whole lot less?
So yeah, this was way more than just a bad day on the stock market. It was a full-on crisis of confidence, a direct challenge to the very foundation of India's entire tech industry. But, and this is a really big but, the story of that day does not end there. Not even close.
Because on the exact same day that 1.56 lakh crore rupees was being wiped off the books of the old guard, a completely different number was making news, 10,000 crore rupees, a positive number, a number that represents a massive bet on the future.
So, let's talk about that bet on the future. Because while one side of the tech world was panicking, another was getting a huge vote of confidence. This was the government stepping in to push for a totally new kind of tech economy.
And here's what happened. On that very same Friday the 13th, the government of India approved the Startup India Fund of Funds 2.0. That's a 10,000 crore rupee injection right into the heart of the startup ecosystem. I mean, you couldn't make this up. The timing was just so incredibly symbolic.
Okay, so what exactly is a fund of funds? It's actually a really smart way for the government to get involved. See, they're not trying to play venture capitalists and pick the next big winner themselves. Instead, they give the money to the pros, the actual venture capital funds. These are the people who do this for a living, who know how to spot and grow innovative new companies.
So how does it actually work? Well, it's a three-step process. First, the government commits the money to SIDBI. Then, SIDBI gives that capital out to professional venture capital funds. But here's the magic trick, the most important part. Those VC funds have to invest at least double what the government gives them into startups. So that 10,000 crew from the government, it's designed to pull in at least another 20,000 crew of private money. It's a massive multiplier effect. And the goals here are super clear. This isn't just about throwing money at the problem. It's about building a totally different kind of tech ecosystem, one that's focused on brand new ideas, on deep tech research and development, and really on empowering India's Yuva Shakti, its youth power.
Okay, so this is where the two stories from that crazy day collide. You've got India at a crossroads, service-heavy versus IP-heavy. On one side, the old guard is in crisis. On the other, there's a huge investment being made in a totally new, innovation-first future. This one day perfectly captured the massive choice facing India's entire tech economy.
And you can really see the two different models of Indian tech laid out side by side here. You've got the service-heavy model, which is all about defending existing contracts. It's built on that labor arbitrage idea we talked about, and its biggest challenge right now is, you guessed it, automation. Then you have the IP-heavy model. This one is all about building new things, creating new intellectual property. It's fueled by innovation and research, and its big opportunity is attracting all that venture capital we just mentioned.
And listen, this isn't just a theoretical idea. It was happening in real time. While the big service companies' stocks were tanking, IP-heavy startups were actually closing funding deals. You had companies like Third AI Automation in the semiconductor space and 6 Sense Mobility in automotive tech, both raising new cash. It's a pretty clear signal of where the smart money was heading, towards owning ideas, not just renting out people.
But hold on, does this mean the big IT service giants are just done for? Well, not so fast. This quote from N. Arunagiri brings in some important nuance. The idea that these companies are now totally obsolete is probably overstretched. Think about it. Big, complex enterprises still need specialized partners to help manage their systems. So the role isn't vanishing, but it's definitely changing. It's being forced to evolve, to become more specialized, to move up the food chain.
And so all of this leaves us with one final, really powerful question. That one day, February 13th, 2026, it laid the choice bare. As AI completely rewrites the rules of the game, is India's future going to be defined by defending the old or by building the new?
So what do you think? Was this the moment everything changed for Indian tech? Let us know what you think down in the comments. And of course, for more explainers just like this one, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.